Okay, Mr. Glancy will do roll call. Yes.
Raymond Bear.
Yeah.
Jerry Connell.
Here.
Josh Courtney. Frank Hicks. Travis Master.
Here.
John Pearson.
Here.
Karen Poland.
Here.
Richmond.
So we do have a quorum, so we can conduct business in this meeting this evening. If you would, commission members, please look over the minutes from May 5th, 2025 that are in your packet. Okay, we have a motion from Travis Lemaster to approve the minutes on May 5th.
I'll second that.
Have a second from Jerry Caudell. Commission members, any discussion? Questions? Hearing none, we'll just do all those in favor say aye. Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to ask for amend the agenda to consider hiring a part-time permit clerk. 0.05. To amend the agenda. A motion from Jerry Cottle. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from John Pearson. Questions or discussion? Favor to amend the agenda to consider hiring a part-time permit clerk, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Okay, the motion carries. Mr. Glancy, whenever you're ready to give us information related to this.
On the job.
Did you modify the job description or change it, or was there any recreation of that?
The job description was updated slightly. It wasn't really a huge change in any way, just kind of updated some of the.
Share with us what the primary responsibilities of this position will be.
So, well, one is the front-facing person. That's the person you see as soon as you come in the door, right? And we have a lot of the exact same questions that come up again and again. Also, answering the phones, right? So there's a lot of interaction with the community and being able to handle all of those issues, you know, well. And be able to handle anyone that comes in, you know, that's a little upset, which we have that from time to time. Also attention to detail. And then the other part is in modernizing the office. He has the Microsoft skills to be able to handle that, and he's also has done some things in his previous work where he's done some specialized software. He didn't develop it, of course, he just was a user. And so that comes to our geo system and other things that we may implement in the future. So I think he'll be a good addition to be able to come in and understand that, you know, protocols are necessary. And it's something that the board wants, and I also want, is to be able to get these protocols written.
Has a demeanor to defuse since he'll be the first,
Defense.
the first line of defense with those who may not be happy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And hours, what were the hours? Since this is a part-time position, help me with, I don't know that I know the number of hours or the days of the week or what the schedule is for him.
One covers the whole day.
Grace, right? Full time? Okay. Questions for Belinda or Todd, commission members, in regard to Nolan Baker as a part-time permit clerk?
Technically, it's 28 hours of actual work time. So they're here, but yeah, that's like how what I used to work. Yeah, I was longer, but
So instead of coming at 10 o'clock, to come to 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Yeah, during the main contract.
Okay, let's deal with Nolan before we get into 4.1. Those are good questions, Josh.
Absolutely.
Well,
Okay.
I don't see the other direction. Especially if we can see, occasionally you'll have a sick leave on a project. We can foresee outages. We can make some kind of flexible schedule so that we can move the 28 hours you're expected to work to cover these absences rather than just defaulting to using overtime. Easier said than done, like I said, I know the situation. Tuesday, and it snows, she's going to have a doctor's appointment. Or something. Let's try to move some of those out.
Oh, yeah.
But, okay.
Absolutely.
Clayton,
As like the overtime.
let's decide. Let's decide if we're gonna hire Nolan and then we're gonna move into part-time versus full-time. Okay, so I need a motion in support of Nolan Baker taking the part-time permit clerk position.
So moved.
Okay, have a motion from Jerry Cottle to approve Nolan Baker as the part-time 32.28 hour part-time permit clerk. Do I have a second? Second from Clayton Soltz. Let's do a roll call.
Yes.
Coordinate.
Yes. John Pearson.
Yes.
Got 5 yeses. I would be 6. That's not enough.
It's majority of those voting. It's not majority of the entire body. There are specific things, state laws, the entire body, even if we have a board.
Especially with employment. I would say especially with employment.
We actually have 13. What?
Well, that's interesting. That, well, let's go into discussion and I mean, it could be that you guys are more comfortable with making him a full-time employee. So maybe, okay, fortunately, no one as a part-time employee has been denied by the commission. So Todd, let's go into, item 4.1. I know we've had some discussion about that, so maybe we just need to continue that discussion unless you have more information to share, which you put together some information for us in writing, correct?
Right.
Okay.
So, I passed that out. It's, the director's request to change from part-time to full-time. About, continuity of the operations, we already went over that, person's sick, vacations. Improved efficiency and quality, full-time employees increase staff retention, attracts higher quality candidates, and this role requires reliability. Part of the process that we want to put together, which is procedures and training, want these people. Special projects, updating job descriptions, updated job description. Like special projects assigned by the director or executive administrative assistant. These projects require time and focus on their current hours. These are the kinds of things that sparks so on. That's the time to make efficiency. I talk to a lot of people that like to do that, but I agree with let's do these little changes, like procedures. But it doesn't seem like people really want to do this. They're already overloaded. So that includes these bullet points of maintaining and updating the website, assisting with meeting minutes, public communication via social media, procedures, forms, and logging systems to improve the transparency and records access. The budget feasibility going forward, just like Josh had brought up, there's not a whole lot of difference there. Adjustments. Today, we take our part-time. I'll have to go to the council for that transferred into a staff budget. That's the year. $7,170.70. My estimate, which I don't completely, budgets work here in this county. My estimate. Full-time rest of the year. What has been running us this year. Total would be $60,000. This is where I'm estimating, and it may not quite understand where we're at. What I don't have access to with what our individual people are. Total line item budget for every pay period. So that's where I have to do the that makes sense. And the access I have at the current time to the budget, not broken down by individuals. It's the whole office pay.
So you don't know how much each employee's made up to date? That we could have divided that by 5 and then taken that on a monthly basis to project
Right.
that the rest of the year?
So I did some estimating.
Are we okay, Belinda? Okay.
That transfer.
Now, the problem we have and what's going on is that with us denying Nolan as a part-time person, it's going to take approval from the county council before he can begin now, if we want to ask for a full-time employee. Right now, because we have to have the council's permission to make a change in that employment status, even though we've got the money, correct?
I don't think for part-time we wouldn't.
No,
Full-time we would.
no, since we already
Because he's
had that
replacing
position, we
somebody
were,
That's got left.
in fact, we asked him, Todd asked him at that council meeting if part-time applied, and I think Angie said, no, part-time does not fit under that they settled. Yeah. So. I guess I'll take I'll carry the heat for this. I should have allowed discussion to go on, and we would have gotten there eventually. But that's where we're at right now. I don't know that we can bail out. of
But
what
they did say they would take, I mean, we can go to the council and ask them to make an exception on a case by case basis, right? So that's
Correct.
It depends. It depends on the individual. I mean, because I did the part-time, yeah. Yeah, it just depends on what their situation, what they need to fill and what, so that's hard to gauge. Everybody's different.
Like, oh, sorry.
Well, I have two thoughts. Number one, I mean, that may be true, but there are a lot of costs that I don't know are right here in my budget and are obvious that a full-time employee comes, that a part-time employee doesn't have, namely healthcare, retirement. I mean, I know just from working in the business world, moving someone from 28 hours to 32 hours costs like 30% of their salary. That's a major, I don't know that I would be comfortable with that where I saw more numbers. I'd also want maybe the office to be settled before we determined what exactly we need. But regarding the vote being dead, I don't know if there's a state law that's different. I don't see why there would be if we have the authority to do this already. But in Robert's rules, if a motion that fails, someone on the presiding side, someone on the side that won, so namely Raymond, could move to reconsider the question, which could be then approved.
And we do that?
As long as it's Raymond that makes the motion, it's my understanding that we can reconsider the question.
I would love for that to happen.
Consider the vote.
Yeah, so basically saying, I did not have all the information. I'd like to reconsider this and change.
So. Okay, I cut the discussion. So is there other discussion? My thinking is that I guess we've got an individual that's willing to work part-time. I would test the water with him first before I made him a full-time employee to make sure that he's gonna provide the needs that the office needs. I mean, we're pretty sure, but an interview's an interview. You know, you don't
Making sure
know
he
for a
has the
fact
skills.
until you have hands-on stuff. So I would have suggested that we try him part-time. We go to the council and we see if we can get full-time. And then we come back and act on full-time if Belinda and Todd are happy that this is the guy that they want to make. Because as Clayton's indicated, there's some benefits associated with additional expenses to the county with insurance and vacations and those sort of things. I was not aware that the hours were this close. You're 7 hours away from being a full-time employee versus a part-time employee. That's
Thing I will say about
There it is.
reconsidering the question, I believe it requires a 7/8 vote to pass. But again, in Roberts, it's based on those voting. So I think if we have half of the total body to meet state law, and everybody here votes yes if there is a motion from Raymond, I think we will meet all the requirements, is my understanding.
so. Just your thoughts.
Just inform.
For a part-time position, we're voting to replace the position that we lost, which is part-time. That's what we voted on. Were
It's
you
for
aware of
filling
that?
one.
It would take another action for that person to become full-time. And I personally came in this evening with the intent to table that because I believe that we need to watch this person work to make sure he's our guy. And then we have to make sure that we can get county approval before we'd make him full-time.
We do have 8 here, so even if he abstains, I think we could get 7 out of 8, and that'd be 7 out of 13 for majority of the body.
Also, we can get better numbers. I mean, that we can get more details.
The last
The more little time we have.
time we hired, was it,
We as a commission haven't met.
state, Todd, that you would intend to bring him even at part-time June the 16th?
You want to give his
I got
current employer 2 weeks. He believes that he'll be able to also still work there.
See, the snag, we don't have a July meeting, which means that if we don't approve this part-time person, the office is gonna go 2 months before they would have help, and I think that's a real unfortunate
busy
disadvantage
time.
for them.
This is your busy times.
it.
Edits and all that stuff coming in.
Well, people have a lot more questions. It's the questions, I think, that if I factor data-wise easily, I think questions. So. Answer the question. Inspectors out on inspection.
The statements I want to make about this office staff, based on what my feelings were of the office staff before, they're trying very intensely to make sure that things are done correctly. And that requires time to research zoning ordinance to do things correctly, where I think before we just kind of shot from the hip. And what we were realizing is a lot of things that were coming to the Board of Zoning Appeals because they weren't done correctly from the beginning, So I want to credit Belinda and Todd and that entire office for taking the time to do things correctly. So I want to run the risk here. Unfortunately, David is at the baseball game tonight, but this would be a great question for him. I'd like to work with what Clayton has proposed as far as Raymond making a motion to reconsider his vote. I'm uncomfortable leaving the office without somebody for 2 months.
Did you?
Any motions that are standard business only require a majority. If there are situations that are beyond the norm, such as suspension of the rules or reconsideration of a question already considered, they have higher thresholds. And the threshold for reconsideration of a question is the highest threshold because the body's already decided one time. So in order to overturn in the same meeting, it requires 7/8. Would be the wrong person because Josh didn't participate; he abstained. So you would be the only person. And unfortunately, that is no pressure. I'm less excited about it the more we talk, but that's how it would have to happen.
Talking yourself out of
What are we working for?
Belinda is a designated office manager, so absolutely. Belinda, come on. Can you come forward, please? So why do you believe that this part-time job interests him if he is a person of character that you've just described?
He wants to get more into a job where he feels more secure.
Has he given has he given his current employer notice? I guess what I'm going to encourage you guys to do, and I know that, you know, based on this situation that we have this evening, you know, it might be a good idea to bring these folks and, you know, kind of I know that's difficult if we, because there is that protective of their current employer. You know, if they come to us, that's public, you know, that's where we're caught. Because let's say that like this, unfortunately, he's given us notice and we didn't approve him tonight. So it may be that this stuff needs to take place in executive session where it's not public. And we meet these folks before you bring them to us for approval. It may be that that's the procedure that we want to adopt from this point forward, rather than get in this situation that we're in this evening.
Last thing, I just double checked. Mistaking for something else. The only requirement is that it was someone on the presiding side. That makes the motion. But state law, we need 7 people regardless. It's the same now. So
So I'll make a motion to reconsider.
you can't because
Can't.
you were on the failing side.
Oh,
Otherwise, people that failed votes would
Gotcha.
just keep.
Okay, gotcha.
Raymond can though.
Yes, Raymond can if he
All right.
wants to. Only if he wants to.
What wording?
May I?
Yes,
Your
hold
motion to
on.
reconsider.
Todd's got a comment.
So from like process standpoint, we went down the road of discussing lid without finalizing that. And that's so closely related.
It's always in order. And we are discussing 4.1, where we got the information that we are not capable of hiring someone full-time, at which point a member may consider prior motions made.
I'm up for tabling 4.1. We need a motion to do that?
To table 4.1.
And we have a motion to table 4.1. We have a second, or motion from Clayton Soltz, second from Karen Pollant. Table 4.1. Let's do a roll call vote. Heather?
Yes.
Josh Courtney?
Yes.
Travis Master?
Yes.
John Pearson?
Yes.
Karen Poland?
Yes.
Clayton Schultz?
Yes.
Carries without my vote. Perfect. Okay, Raymond, we're ready.
Make a motion to reconsider. Passes, we discuss it again and have to vote again. This is just to reconsider.
Okay, so we need a second.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a second from
Sorry,
Josh
just
Courtney.
making sure we.
Motion from Raymond Mayor to reconsider the action of 4.405. Second by Josh Courtney. Let's do a roll call vote.
Yes.
Josh Courtney?
Yes.
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 Okay. On. No, I should have let this discussion go on. I'm gonna own that whole situation there. Okay. Case,
To open up hiring full-time.
so we are back to 4.05, part-time permit clerk recommendation, Nolan Baker. Any discussion necessary?
does seem like we get put in these positions a lot, where it's like, we gotta vote for this tonight, or the office is just gonna be up a creek for the next 3 months. So I'm not sure how to fix that. But that seems to happen a lot. It's kind of discouraging, but hopefully we won't be up a creek so many times.
Hopefully we'll get some, the staff is greatly improved and,
Yes.
that's what our goal is to get the most competent people that we can. And we're going to trust that these folks are acquiring that for us.
Absolutely.
Okay, so no discussion. I'm entertaining a motion for 4.05 Nolan Baker, part-time permit clerk.
I will make
Okay.
that motion again.
Jerry Connell makes the motion. Raymond Bear seconds. You get caught up, Todd, we'll do a roll call vote.
Raymond Vale. Mary Kyle,
Yes.
Josh Courtney, yes. Travis Lemaster,
Yes.
John Pearson,
Yes.
Sharon Poland,
Yes,
Clayton Schultz.
Yes.
All right,
Okay.
got a part-time permit clerk. Mr.
Sorry for
Nolan
the
Baker.
theatrics. Just want to make sure we do it right.
That's right. We want to do it
absolutely.
right.
We're supposed to write, is my understanding.
All right, moving on to old business number 5.
Prevention. I laid it out here. And, late 2024, the Grant County Area Planning Commission held a properly noticed public hearing and approved the updated flood damage prevention ordinance. The ordinance was then forwarded to the Board of Commissioners, voted and adopted it. However, during this transition, copies of it. To ensure compliance with FEMA's National Flood Insurance Program, we reaffirm prior action. Adopted ordinance. This will place the consistent with their authorities. This letter is going to go to the commission. Had a discussion with David Wickfield, and he agrees with this strategy. The page in the back, right behind that, is my draft. He's not given input. He can change it any way he would like.
That's this page,
Yes.
the signature page for the commissioners.
Signature page for the commission. I bring this before you because I don't think it will hurt at all if we take a vote on it again tonight. It's the same thing. I passed it out like in January because I knew it was an issue. What's that? Chasing is done.
So Todd, we've got some new members. Are you in a position where you could share with us the importance of this floodplain ordinance? It's got something to do with flood insurance. I'll let you go.
So the two really important things is current version, more of an updating. One is if it's how what this makes a difference.
State's pushing us to accomplish this.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? Commission members, questions to Mr. Glancy? Plain ordinance?
What I guess.
Jim saw this, Raymond, as a surveyor back. He approved this. It went to him. It went to the drainage board and through the surveyor for their approval when it came to us.
So I guess to keep it simple is, do you approve of this strategy of reaffirming?
Yeah,
That's not, we're not voting on the ordinance itself.
it's already
We're
went through
voting
the
on
channels.
strategy.
It just got misplaced before it was filed with the recorder. Correct? Questions, commission members? Again, we have a strong attempt to do things correctly. Raymond, you okay? All we're doing is approving. You're not voting on that.
We're
It's
approving this
been-
letter. That's what we're approving. It's this letter Todd wrote. That's really all we're approving. The approve of this, right?
Yes. Yes.
Third page in.
Basically, Raymond, we are approving allowing the new commissioners to sign off on this ordinance because it was approved by the commissioners in 2024. So rather than have to go back and try and fix the fact that the document got lost by the APC.
As long as the document hasn't changed.
No. No. Other questions, commission members? I'll entertain a motion to approve this as presented by Mr. Glancy. Karen Bowen. Second.
I'll second that.
Second from John Pearson. Hope you're ready.
Raymond Bear,
Yes.
Jerry Cadell,
Yes.
Josh Courtney. Yes. Travis Lemaster,
Yes.
John Pearson,
Yes.
Karen Coleman,
Yes.
Ben Schultz.
Yes.
Motion carries. Okay, now we are at 5.2. Want to table that till we get some more information?
Well, I need to keep dragging it on.
Okay.
But I would like to have a discussion about it because we don't necessarily need to vote on it tonight because it is a change to the ordinance. So I needed to have scheduled a public hearing. We can't put it into place anyway.
We have to have a public hearing because it's a change to the area-wide zoning
Change to the
ordinance.
ordinance.
Okay, let's discuss it.
So,
Go for it.
okay. And if Ed would like to speak into this. at any time.
Depends on what it is.
It's, it's what we were discussing right before the meeting about what we wanted to put into the ordinance during the BCA. If you would like to just. take
Share it with us,
you have
Ed.
More history with it.
Okay. It is rather simple. A person may not communicate with any member of the board before the hearing with intent to influence the member's action on a matter pending before the board, not less than 5 of the hearing. However, the staff, as defined in the zoning ordinance, if any, may file with the board a written statement setting forth any facts or opinions relating to the matter. Okay, that is what we wanted them to adopt. Okay, you all, and that is replacing the provision that was in there where the commissioners would hear the petition and make a recommendation. Usually they did that at their Monday morning meeting, and then the BZA got it that evening. Okay. And that is really a violation of what I just read. So we wanted to replace that language. You say that language is already gone, which surprises me, but okay, that this was, I believe, already passed by this board. Could have been even last year.
Did we have a public hearing on it? Would we have had to have a public hearing on it?
I would think so. Yes, you
Yeah.
would. It's a change to the area-wide zoning ordinance.
No, the BZA does not have to have commissioner approval. They are.
They're a quasi judicial board. It'd be like going to a judge and saying, I want you to let that guy off. He's coming in here next week. Can't do that. That'd be a good way to get yourself in trouble.
Basically, why does the commissioners were giving the BZA their recommendation, potentially influencing the BZA before the BZA ever heard through the public hearing. That's what we're trying to stop. We're trying to stop that potential commissioner influence or any other individual influence on the BZA before they actually hear it, correct?
Right. That was routine for them. And can you imagine that? There was no public comment to them like there was at the BZA public hearing. There was no evidence presented. There was just a little discussion about so-and-so wants to do this in this area where it's not permitted, and the BZA will be deciding on this tonight. And they would say, oh yeah, we want to recommend that. Or we don't want to recommend that, whatever. You know, it's the same thing as trying to influence the outcome before the public hearing even. So anyway,
Yes, question, if we're changing that language there, what's the, I guess, what's the penalty for violating that, I guess, if they would make that?
you know, I don't really know that there was a
Was there-
penalty
was there-
listed in state law, you know, but it could be serious, you know. It could be considered, and I'd have to look it up, but I thought I read that one time where that could be considered a felony.
Probably litigation would enforce it. Somebody would file suit.
Attorney General.
Attorney General.
So anyway, when I first read this, I went to the next, I went to a commissioner's meeting and asked, till we get this, codified into law, please stop doing it. Told our executive director, don't bring us any more recommendations. That's just big trouble. So anyway, that was the one. We had a couple other changes, but that was the one that was actually very important.
Was that in line with the minor variance approval by the executive director? That was a resolution we did also.
Yeah, that was at the same time, I believe.
Do we know where
Yeah.
that one's at? Where the standing of that one is? I think we got that one done because I signed that again.
And it wasn't that was any violation of state law or anything. It was just that we felt that was a bad way to go, the alternate approval process.
So I think that's number one. Section 5.104. We're done together.
Yeah, they were in the same meeting. Yeah.
So then it comes to the issue of 153.049F.
Yeah, I'm also confused. There's no 155. Is it supposed to be 153.104? This is 150. So that's a typo, 153.104.
These are thinged up, folks. This is all past happenings.
Yeah. But I recall that BZA meeting, basically, you said it was put in because there were so many requests and sometimes the BZA wouldn't have a quorum. I think Mr. Whitfield said, but that's really not an issue for much.
We gotta get that typo corrected. 153 instead of 155.
Wait till mine.
Other questions?
Okay. Where I want to go with one of many things as I'm going through the current copy of the ordinance, the current copy of the BZA rules, the EPC rules, that I'm not 100% sure I have a clean copy of any of it. That's where I want to lead. I mean, trying to get down to the root cause of all the issues, we're not following the exact same rules, then there's going to be problems. So I think that's a foundation of everything that we want to accomplish. And I've been kind of waiting for the solar ordinance to go through. Now that it has, to go up, to get it recorded, right? Then I'm going to go, and I'm just asking for feedback here. Go to the recorder's office. I want a clean copy for the ordinance. We should all be good. I'll get that posted. We're all working. As far as the BZA rules, I think we're good there.
I sent you those.
Right.
You got
And
those.
then the
Okay.
APC rules.
What I
Well,
plan,
last
what I
year-
plan to do, Mr. Glantz, is I plan to go into my folder of rules and procedures. We spent about a year and a half reviewing some proposed rules and procedures for the APC. What we were finding is there were many sightings that was supposed to be Indiana code. And when we actually looked at the Indiana code, we found out that it wasn't exactly stated as the Indiana code was. So we were trying to clean that up. So what I told Todd I would do is I would go back and I would pull out, because some of those pages of the proposed rules and procedures were approved by the Area Planning Commission at that time, after that in-depth discussion had taken place about whether they were accurate statings of the Indiana code. So what I want to do is I want to pull that back out, give that to Todd, make him familiar with where we were at one time. Not that I don't believe that this commission should go back and make themselves aware and reapprove what had been approved, because the entire document has not been approved, which means that none of it's officially approved until the entire document's approved. So
halfway through.
we got about halfway through, and I do know the pages. I have notes of the pages that we did act on. Okay, so honestly, Todd, we're working with the old rules and procedures.
Okay.
Okay?
Yeah, I've seen some documents with hand notes in it, but, that doesn't cut it, right?
So I promise to get that to you. You'll
Okay.
have the rest of June and July to review that, and maybe in August we can with that.
Okay.
Okay?
All right. And then as far as this resolution goes,
We'll have to have a public hearing, correct? Or have we already had
Well-
one?
my suggestion would be we wait until I get the clean copy from the recorder's office, and let's see if it's in there.
Okay.
Because I'm hearing that it was voted upon, right? It should be in there. And if not, we'll go through the process. Is that fair?
I signed the minor variance one for David Glickfield.
Okay.
So he has that.
We adopted Robert's simplified rules, I think.
Yes.
Because despite everything we just did tonight, that's nothing compared to actual.
This?
that is the strategy forward.
No,
Way-
we're good. We're gonna ask you to do some research and then come back in August. Okay. This has been an interesting meeting, you guys, ladies. All right, we will move to item 6, reports, resolutions, communications, and general discussion. Mr. Glickfield's not here. Todd?
So tonight I placed something on the packet discussing certified mail and recommendations for change. So part of the public hearing notices process, for the Board of Zoning Appeals, we currently use certified mail because it does state it in the BZA. The APC rules that I'm currently working under does not have. So we sent out certified letters, a total of 15 received back. 10 of those were invalid or ineffective. So that's 66% of them. U.S. Postal Service is failing us just as it did when I was sending out the packages in the mail.
What's the criteria for it to be invalid?
No delivery date was listed. No recipient signature was in place, or it was just received. If there was a received date in which it was delivered, it was after the hearing had occurred. So this failure rate then renders the certified mail, functionally unreliable as proof of notice. And when legally challenged, the lack of proper documentation could. Simply the cost. So certified mail with return or receipt is $10.43 per letter. Single public hearing with 30 adjacent landowners, I think we have just $3. The return on this expense is often. So I laid out 2 different alternatives, and if there's other options, we'd love to hear it. One is what is called certificate of mailing. The cost is just under $3 a letter. It provides a date stamp proof of mailing from the United States Postal Service, and it's accepted in Indiana courts as valid proof for mail. Basically, you get a list. Second option is an affidavit of mailing. Staff prepares a signed and dated statement with the names and addresses of the recipients, the mailing date, and the statement that all of them are sent by first class mail. File this with docket. It's free other than the postage and legally valid as adopted by the APC or the BZA. I would like to request that there's some coordination between the APC and the BZA, that whatever we do, we just makes it easier for the staff. So then the rest of that document is just a recommendation. The other item I'd like to discuss is the use of social media.
Can we talk about
That's fine.
the certified mail? A little background on how that came about. Ed, you help me with this if I get out of bounds here, but we were going into BZA member or meetings and residents were sharing that they didn't feel like they were properly notified in a timely fashion for them to do any research that they needed to do in order to respond to the public hearing issue. So we were trying to confirm that we made an effort to be able to notify everyone, because that puts the BZ in a tough position to be able to rule in that given meeting if we truly have those that could be opposed or have input that don't feel like they've had the adequate amount of time to prepare or deal with it. Ed, anything else? Okay, and I, so I think the burden falls on the office to make sure that regardless of what mailing approach that we select, that they get to those folks in a timely fashion. How, what's the time frame from the sign being posted before the public hearing actually occurs? 14 days. So I would guess that the mailings would have to go out within immediately when that sign is issued in order to give those folks the amount of time. Because if somebody wanted to present something to the BZA, they have to give it to the office. How many? 2 days in advance.
Well, 10 days, it's 10 days in advance. Let's stated for staff and assessment. Ordinance that may be relevant, you can search, put the package together. After required for that.
And that's the packet for the BZA to review.
Yeah.
Or
2
the
days.
AP. So if somebody wants to come in and offer information for that public hearing, it has to be given to you 2 days in advance.
2 days in advance for me to try to get it to the BZA.
Okay.
Then there's also at the meeting. It's very.
Because we can choose to accept something at the meeting. Is that correct, Ed?
You can. Right.
It's kind of like public hearing.
Feel like the certificate of mailing is going to be any more effective than the certified mail? It's going to be cheaper.
Cost less. Yeah.
Well, I think that's, I know, I'm just thinking
whether it be right or wrong, we want to be able to say that we made an effort to notify the people. We can't be responsible for the ineffectiveness of the postal service.
By those numbers, though, in my job, we use certified mail for a lot of things that we send to customers, and we get the return rate back is terrible, and so I'm not surprised that you're getting that low of response rate. And the same kind of problems that you're saying, not signed for, or the dates are on there, it's incomplete. So if you ever have to go to court, it's hard to, how do you prove that when somebody got it? So it's not a very reliable method.
Allowed to, if they can only carry packages, that's what I was gonna say. Unfortunately, the US government has enshrined in law that the Postal Service is the only corporation allowed to deliver first class mail. Like FedEx and UPS, you've never gotten a letter from them.
You've
Oh,
got
package.
maybe a package from
Yeah.
them that might be a letter, but it's really
Yeah.
a package. Technically, it's a package.
So you'd be paying probably even more than.
You'd be paying more than that $10. You'd probably be paying 15 to 20.
Yeah, we can
Well,
act.
I think that's what Mr. Glancy's getting at with a combined strategy of like maybe either option 1 or 2 with a social media angle. Is that what you're getting at? Is
Yes.
that where you're getting at a combined strategy to meet the requirements of the law plus utilizing modern social media to make sure people know that there's a hearing? Is that what
That's absolutely correct.
Let's talk about social media.
So I did a little trial balloon with the comprehensive plan. Popular Facebook posted on that. We did that twice. And it's hard to measure how effective it was, but I had more people come up to me and say, I've seen that on Facebook than anybody has ever come up to me. Took a little more time to jazz it up, right? Something.
I
And
can.
scroll through it, right? How it was effective. That's a pretty simple thing.
Plan for an APC staff member to take this responsibility of Facebook and website.
For the comp plan, Grace made the Facebook page. Send it out, it went out.
Then you've hit as many as you can get.
Van Buren has an alert site for like an emergency or even like if it's a boil emergency or something. And that's on our website. It comes up to let everybody know, and it seems to be pretty good. Yeah. In today's world, everybody's got their nose in their phone. Yeah. Most.
Well, we still have to do it in the paper, in the mail, because that's state law. And
But is that an Indiana code, Todd, that we have to post it in the local newspaper?
yes, we have.
Yeah.
Change this. Still include the same people, so we're not losing that, plus add on to social media to gain.
As we update the whole, all of the APC.
I think we got to do something different now. The question becomes, do we want to act before this has been presented to the BZA if you truly want to try and align both of them? Or do we want to act and strongly influence the BZA to do what we just decided? Ed, you got any comment? As president of the BZA. That'd be how many votes?
I actually think that based on what you're getting back in receipts, that may not be worth the extra money. But if you have a receipt saying you mailed this on this day, that's one of the options you listed, right? Okay, what do you call that? A certificate of mailing or something like that? Okay, if you've got that, I think the BZA would go along with that. I'm going out on a limb here a little bit, but I think so. And that you actually have somebody from your office take it to the post office and mail each one of those and get that receipt for each one. So it's pretty good proof that they should have gotten it, at least, as best as we can do. And it does highlight the importance of your person also making sure the sign is conspicuous and that it's well placed at the location. I go to all of them, when the packet comes out. And I'll tell you, sometimes I've seen those signs hidden. And it took a while to find them. They put them in the woods. Whatever was laying down in the field. Yes, the variance sign or the special exception sign for the public hearing. Yes. Or it wasn't there at all. And we had to scrub the hearing and delay a month and have them put this properly. So it's just real important that's.
If the signs are home at some point, or do we send somebody out to make sure the sign is posted?
I check them for the BZA. You guys are on your own. Yeah. But you should go to the sites, because what you see in pictures is sometimes doesn't tell everything when you get out there and look at it from a different angle. Yeah. So.
Also, another indication of something in the ordinance, that it's implied that that sign does not state that directly. I think that we can.
In the area-wide zoning ordinance.
signs, are they placed by the petitioner or by the office?
In the ordinance, it says we supply the sign, and then sign is to be maintained, paraphrasing a little bit. Maintained, but it doesn't specifically say who is supposed to maintain it. Lighting the sign. Yeah, I think there's more to go there, like that too.
We give it to the petitioner to post.
And they post it.
Anyway. Let's start with a good clean ordinance. Start with-
Staff time. Now, whether or not it does,
No, it doesn't.
well, yeah, it helps anyway.
Yeah.
The fee's $100, and maybe it should be raised, but that's what it is.
That's the rub, right?
Yeah,
That's the real-
you're providing a service at that point, and you're not breaking even. Yeah, I think if the way Todd presented it to you guys, the multiple approaches to make sure everybody hears, Facebook, in the mail, in the newspaper, and a sign properly placed. And when you go out and take pictures of the site, take one of where the sign is as well. And if it's not there, when you go around and take a look at these sites, that should be a problem for the petitioner. You know, it gets delayed a month. Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Ed. Okay, what do you folks think about the options that, I don't think there's any doubt we've got to get away from certified mail. Why are we paying for an inefficient, ineffective means of trying to contact people?
Yeah. A lot more
Actually, the
certificate.
Certificate's basically an affidavit from the post office. The affidavit's just our office saying, cross my heart, hope to die. We really truly do. Now, maybe we'd have to have it notarized. If we go certificate.
Yes.
I think we're kind of talking what about the certificate and the
Mhm.
social media.
Do you want to
combination?
motion, Randy?
Any other discussion? Well,
Okay, yeah, Clayton, I'll take a motion.
Yeah, I'll move to amend procedures so that we send a certificate of mailing rather than certified mail to petitioners.
Okay. So we have a motion from Clayton Schultz. Have a second from Karen Poland. Discussion, commission members, before we vote.
we need to
Yeah, we're gonna do the social media.
I think we should.
I think it should be a combination.
I-
Sorry, I thought you said that.
I don't see value in adding that in the motion. Because if we do that, that means if the social media person is out for a week and it gets posted on social media at day 12, then everything could be up in the air. We have the legal requirements already. We can have this requirement. I think it would be a great practice to have it on social media. I personally would be very to add that into an official motion that we voted on.
We can grant him permission to move forward. Since we've got an action that we're gonna change, I agree that we need an action. Okay, any other discussions about the motion on the floor in regard to changing from option or from certified mail to option one? Certificate of mailing. Hearing none, roll call vote.
Raymond Bear,
Yes.
Yes.
Rushford, Rex Master,
Yes.
John Pearson,
Yes.
Owen,
Yes,
Rachel.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Hey, I'm expecting a motion out of the director's discussion, but that's okay.
Hey, getting her done tonight.
we'll see you
And may
again.
I state that, it is important that you all agreed and that we decided to move forward with the social media because I
Yes.
kind of that back off. There's been times in which I wanted to move forward and it's like, if I start it now, does this person feel like that they've been picked on? Right? That I'm not. Start date now. Which I
So you can add that to the minutes that there was discussion in relation to social media being added as a means of advertisement or can the
Well,
board
that's-
support it?
That's putting our best foot forward, I think. If we add that way we're not committed where we have to do it, but yeah, we can put it out there.
It shows we're going above and beyond
Exactly.
what's stated.
last thing, I'd like to introduce everybody in New York.
Okay.
Thanks for coming. Anything you'd like to share about yourself?
Personally, but obviously I'm 35 years old. I have a husband. We've been together for 16 years now. We have two really wonderful children, girl, boy. Got lucky. Stop there.
Appreciate you.
I'm sitting in this meeting, so I appreciate you.
Totally.
We're knocking me out of one, don't we?
Monthly.
Anything else? Discussion, commission members? Hearing on public comment, we'll take any public comment.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Michael Duke, Grant County. The comment that I would make to the APC commission members is a thank you for your diligence and work over the past couple of years on the new solar ordinance that was passed by the commissioners this past special commissioners meeting last week. And I guess I'm going to ask a question and consider this maybe putting a bow tie, dotting I's and crossing T's. But as the commissioners voted their affirmative votes on the new ordinance, they said they would pass it back to the APC. Now, is there something administratively that will have to be done by the planning office or by the commission itself in just recording this new solar ordinance, or is there any further action? I leave that for, open to ask for comment by the members.
APC's responsibility to file it with the recorder. That's once they've signed. Oh, yes.
Yes.
Sure. Clarify that, Todd.
So then it'll be my responsibility to take that document each.
Brings up an interesting question. So is it officially law now, or does it require the approval from the towns before it becomes law? If that's the case, I want you to get to the towns pretty quickly.
Yes, absolutely.
I think it's law for whatever legislative body.
Has approved it.
So I think it's law in the unincorporated Grant County right now because
Okay.
the commissioners passed it. Well, in Jonesboro,
Or Sweetser.
yeah, or wherever.
Okay.
have heard anybody saying they will.
Okay.
Okay, well, I think for the discussion, that's what I'd hoped for was to clarify
Mhm.
if there's anything administratively which you have clarified. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. Anyone else? Mr. Hartman?
For the record, I apologize to the town for stating foolish, but that's just my opinion, okay? Because there is a municipal setback in the ordinance that protects the town from being surrounded and unable to expand or to do something like if they needed new wells just outside of town and they didn't want to run pipes for miles because they were surrounded by solar, those kind of things. Anyway, that's in there for them specifically. And the other protections, of course, are in there to make sure it's safe around them. One other thing I had, and it's not to pick at anybody, but when you hire employees, it might be good if you all agreed on how it's going to be done each time. And that one suggestion might be to have a short executive session right before your regular meeting where the candidate comes and you get to talk to them a little bit and then decide if you want to approve of who the staff has picked out and give your approval, which you're a state law thing that you do. You determine who the staff is, and upon your approval, staff can hire other employees. So, and your staff being Todd, staff is also David Glickfield, and all the employees up there in the office. So just have a nice set process of how you're going to hire employees. Just a suggestion. Makes it easier. I know I watched you struggle with it here today. That's just my suggestion. And then in the public meeting, you give your approval for the record. Executive session, just a little get to know the person. I just think it goes smooth for you that way. And you just kind of put that down as how you're going to do it. No big deal.
Good advice,
Good
Ed.
day.
Thank you. Any other public comment? Hearing none, we will entertain a motion for adjournment. Motion from Josh Courtney. Do I have a second?
Yeah.
Second from Jerry Cottle. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion carries. Thank you, guys. Wonderful meeting. Thank you. Everybody's input. Love it. Thank you.
Have an hour meeting one of these days. I believe in us.
No. What did it make it? Hour and a half.